In this installment of the Data Allocation 100 Quick Start series, we're going to be linking data allocation with TestModeller for UFT. The goal of this session is that by the end you will be able to automatically create data and automation code for your UFT framework. This is so you can expose the full power of data allocation into your UFT framework, finding, making and allocating data to automated test case, creating all of these assets seamlessly in an automated manner. What we'll be doing here is using TestModeller to define our automated test scenarios. We'll then be using our test data allocation engine to specify the test data we require for each of these tests from a vast array of data sources. The output of this is we will get a series of UFT scripts with the test data and test automation defined. When it comes to running the automation, we will just in time on the fly make, find and allocate the data required for each of the automated tests. This means that when the automation is running against the system under test, you will have the right data in the right place at the right time to support this automation. So let's jump in and start integrating data allocation into our models. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is testing our opportunities page that we have. And what we want to do is create a set of coverage focused tests which cover different deviations and routes through this opportunities page. We also need to link in our data allocation, as we need to have account names and campaign names that exist in our backend database. Now, in the previous video, what we did was we created some data catalogs for our Splendid CRM system. And these were basically reusable components which could go in and find and make different data given specified criteria to look up. So for instance here we've got a find for an account name, we've got a find to get a campaign specified by the type and state, and also a fallback routine here to go and make campaigns as well in our backend database. Now what we've done here is we have created two models which test the various screens in our Splendid CRM system. So we've got a login screen, and then we're going through entering a name, an amount, an account and a campaign through our create opportunities page. And we either end up here successful or we end up in some kind of error state because we've entered negative data along the way. Now what we're going to do here first is overlay our data allocation routines to go and get the right data we need for each of these attributes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into our test automation, and the first one we're going to work with here is going to be the account name. Now here what we want to do is embed a valid account name that exists in our backend database. To do this, we're going to go into actions here, and we're going to add a new action, and we're going to go to our data catalog here. And the method we're going to perform is find an account name. So we'll bring that. And you'll see here we've got an output for this function. The output we're going to map to here is going to be our name variable that we have. We'll hit save here, and we'll see that we now have that embedded. We just need to move this above here so that it's listed in the function before we perform the set account inside the UI. The next one we're going to do here is our campaign. Now the campaign is a little bit more complicated because we have two variables that can be in play. We have the campaign type, which will give a default value of male, and we have the campaign state, which will give a default of active. Now if I come in here, we're going to do exactly the same process again, and we're going to overlay our data catalog here. But this time we're going to use the find campaign by type and state. So the campaign type we're going to use, that will come from our variable, which we set to male. Our state will also come from our variable, and our name will get mapped back out to our campaign name here. We'll hit save, we'll move this one back up again. We'll save our model, and now what we're going to do here is go in and generate some tests. So we'll hit the generate button. And we're going to hit the run button here, and what we're going to do is we're going to select create test allocate. We're going to use our UFT allocation code template, and we're going to put these into a new allocation pool we've created specifically for our UFT test environment, and we'll hit execute here. Okay, so we'll see here the job has complete. If we come back into TestModeller here, we look at our allocation pools and we go into our UFT pool here, what we'll see is that we've got the pool has now been populated, and we've got some results here. If we take a look at our find campaign by type and state, we'll see that the parameters we entered were male and active, just come through from Modeller, and the result here is that we have a campaign that has been found. If we go back to our allocated tests here, we can also see the same for our account names, and we can flick through these and we can see the different accounts that have been assigned. What we can also do is we can come in here, just do a quick little refresh, and what we will see if we look at the results are the different data values that have been pulled in and embedded inside our code here. Okay, so we've just downloaded our associated automation code for one of the tests here, and what you'll see is that we start off with our configuration. We're then adding our allocations, performing our allocations, retrieving the results, and crucially we're consuming them here within our automation code and actions. Now what we're going to do is we'll head back over to UFT. We'll put this code inside here, and what we then need to do is embed our client library for UFT. Now if you head over to our GitHub repository here, what you'll see is that we've got our client library for UFT, which contains our QFL file that we can bind in as an associated function library. All you need to do is come in here, download the zip file, and unzip it in a location on your environment. Once you have that available, you can right click on the project here, go to add, and associate a function library. And all we're going to do here is navigate to where we saved it, select this QFL file, and what we'll see now is we've got the Curiosity data allocation engine embedded inside our UFT environment. Now all we need to do is come in here, hit the run button, and execute our test. And we'll just open up our automation server here. Now the first thing we're going to see happen here is it's going to perform an allocation. And we'll see here that has been executed, which has allocated the data to our test cases. It's now going to go through and log in. It's going to go through and create a new opportunity here. Now if we take a look at what happened here in the results, what we'll see is it went through our login procedure, then it went through and navigated to the opportunities page. Now the crucial piece here, if we look at the names that are being set, these values have been resolved, and if we look at the campaign name, we'll see we've actually pulled in an existing account that existed in our backend database. Let's take a look at an advanced scenario. Now in our previous model we were setting a fixed campaign and a fixed state. The reality is that there may be many campaign types and many states that exist, along with rules in between that dictate when we have specific types of each of these attributes that we're controlling. So what we've done here is we've built out a model of the different campaign types that can exist, like email, print, web, etc., and the different states that they can exist in as well. Now all we've had to do here is overlay on top the different allocation functions that we're going to consume. So if we take a look here, what you'll see is that we have overlaid our function here to go and find campaigns by type and state. We have overlaid our campaign and status in here, and the output we're going to get is a campaign name. Now we're just back inside our create opportunities model here. And what we're going to do is replace this part of the functionality here for creating campaign names with our subflow that we have for our different campaigns. So we'll embed that one in here. We're in our Splendid CRM project, and we're going to embed our campaign model here. We'll click import, and we'll see that model is now embedded inside here, and all we need to do is connect it in. So we'll connect this up as so, and we'll link it in. So our valid campaigns are going to our positive set campaign, and our invalid ones, our inactive ones, are going to our negative one here. Now we'll just perform a quick save, and now what we need to do is go into our test data, and we're going to bring in that variable that is being set in our campaign flow for finding the different campaigns. So we'll add a new variable here, and we'll call this one our campaign name. This is going to be a subflow mapping variable, and as I say, we're going to go into this subflow and we're going to retrieve the campaign name that is being found. We'll hit save, and now all we need to do is come in to our test automation actions here. We'll remove the existing one that's taking place. We'll hit edit here, and what we're going to do now is embed our campaign name coming from our subflow. And we'll do the same for the negative here as well. So we'll embed that variable that is being set from our data allocation find routine in the subflow. So we'll hit save here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a generate. We'll see here we get a much larger number of tests now. We've got 17. And we're going to go off and perform an allocation into our UAT environment. So we'll hit execute here. So what we'll see here is our job is complete. If we go into our allocations pool here, just do a refresh, and open this one up, what we'll see is that we've got all of our allocations that have been performed. And the ones we're going to focus on here are find campaign by type and state. If we look, what we'll see is that the parameters have been populated here along with the associated results. We can go back and we can open up a few more, and we can see the different parameters that have come through as we've navigated through the different paths that have been generated in the model. So we'll see here all of those different ones that have come back. And if we take a look at one of our files here, what you'll see is that the code that's been generated has all of our different allocations in that we can now go off and run in our UFT automation framework. Thanks for watching this video. Any questions, please email james.walker@curiosity.software.